which actually, it's always a pity when that happens, but it does make sense that if animals have, let's say, young 5 or 6 or 7 each year, if they all would survive, then within no time you would have a population explosion. So I guess also the number of young and the frequency of breeding is always there's a balance between that and the survival rate of little goslings in this case. And I guess that's one of the I find the fascinating things about nature, that everything is somewhere in a balance, and not a balance in the sense that it's static and always fixed in the same. There will be lots of fluctuations, but in the end it all balances out and so slowly moves here and there, unless somebody kicks the balance too much out of its equilibrium, and then there's a problem, which is something that we humans must be careful not to do. But I think, having said that, nature is far more resilient than actually sometimes we do give it credit for in that sense. But there's no excuse not to be careful. Do you have anything to add, Sapir? Because I'm talking here all the time, and the chat is the two of us, so do you have anything to add, or something you want to chat about, or? Now, Sapir has been studying very hard, I must say. I hope that's not a secret that I'm letting out now. There's a very nice, actually online study option. It's called Wildlife Campus, and it's also something that Graham has been involved in. I'm not sure exactly what way, but involved in at the time that it was started up in the old days when Graham was still before Wild Earth, but already working on bringing everybody wildlife live to their houses. And you can find it on wildlifecampus.com, I believe, or .co.za, but I believe it's .com. And it's a very interesting thing. They've got courses on wildlife related things, general courses for ranger guides that you can even use to start your certification, also specific ones about herbivores, about big fives, even about economics of managing a game ranch and stuff like that. And for people that are interested, I would definitely say go have a look there, and it's very interesting. And especially if you come from, I would say, Europe or the US, I would say for most people it's very affordable to either do 1 or 2 courses, or maybe if you really get into it, a lot of them. But basically Sapir has been doing a lot of those, so really working up on her knowledge, and so that when the time she's at the waterhole she can, and actually you can see the difference already. So he's talking about the birds and things like that, so, and it's actually nice to see as well. And I guess it's always good for anybody just to keep learning. Learning keeps your mind young, that's just more important. There's some new arrivals at the waterhole. Beautiful. Beautiful, Nyala. Coming for a drink. Any chickens? No, only in the soup, I believe. No, we don't. Sorry, that was maybe a bad joke, but no, we don't have any chicken around Viatella, at least not as far as I know. If you hear the cockerel crowing, that's interesting. I was just trying to think if whether there's a bird sound that I recall that sounds a bit like that, but I can't really think of one now. But interesting.
Francolin is just doing this thing like.
Oh, but that could be. Francolins can be very loud and very noisy, and I guess maybe in some cases it can sound a bit like a cockerel. Yeah, I think once you get used to the sound, but that's the same with sounds and also recognizing birds. Once you get used to like seeing a bird or an animal for that matter, or other animals, or hearing a sound, then you'll say, but this is so different from that other thing. But when you hear or see things for the first time, then it's like your mind still needs to adjust to it, and then things often sound like the same. I guess it's the same thing, and I certainly don't want to, make fun of Herman, or at least not too much. But the thing, there's many people, and it happens to me as well. If you If you're driving around and in the distance you see something, and especially the wildebeest and the buffalo, if you look at them up close, you just think about how can you confuse those, because they're very, very different. But if you see them a little bit in distance, and it's really interesting actually how easy it is to mix them up. And then they come close and say, oh, maybe it was still the other one. And sometimes what also happens is that if you're looking for something, then you tend to see it. If you're out looking for, or if you expect to see something, then your mind tends to, even if it's something else, tries to cast it as if it's actually the thing that you're looking for. Let's see. Oh, Ems is convinced it was a cockerel. Okay, that should be interesting. Actually, I'm sure somebody must have recorded that or somewhere, so it would be interesting to hear that sound back and then find out what it was. Let me actually just quickly see if I can play a sound of one of the francolins. Just let me just see. Switch the sound back on. See if it sounds anything like what was heard this morning. Maybe this one. No, well, maybe not, but thought it was. Oops! Stop! That's enough. Okay, so there was just first there was a crested francolin, and the second one was a Natal francolin. Those are the two, I would say, most likely culprits, if it was any one of those. But also there, sometimes the sound doesn't always sound like it typically does. But anyway, so we'll just leave that open in the air for now. If somebody does have a sound bite from that, I'm actually quite interested to have a listen to that and see what it was. Maybe somebody did bring some chicken in here.
Yeah, one day I will bring chicken. So then I will just beat him to keep that sound, so you know how the difference from francolin and chicken.
That's going to be we learned from Sepire. Maybe this Friday. A virtual starling. I guess it's always possible that it's a bird mimicking a sound. I'm not sure whether it's very likely, but yeah. I don't know. It's interesting, but it's difficult to comment on it without actually having heard a sound. But yeah, there are some birds. Actually, robins are actually very good at that. It can mimic many sounds. So, some robins can actually, I forgot which one it was now, but it's known to mimic the sound of 30 other bird species. That's always why you have to always be careful if you identify a bird just based on sound, because it might be a robin imitating it. But yeah, I think I mentioned it in my We Learn as well on Monday. If you talk about imitating and bird sounds, for those of you interested in it, maybe just go on YouTube and look for lyrebird, spelled Lyre bird, because that bird there must be the best imitator in the world.